that last gift has worked for the CIA, you name it. And you know, the fact that he was provisoing that, hey, I don't think 9/11's an inside job. People that get inside those bubbles, and I'm not being patronizing, they tend to just not believe government could be involved because it's such a big deal. Criminal elements working in multiple governments. U.S. intelligence, British intelligence, Israeli intelligence, Pakistani intelligence, through the cover membrane or the fence of the Saudi Arabians, ran 9/11. They opened the door. They let the attack happen, bare minimum. And there was so much aiding and abetting to open the door and to block FBI investigations. I mean, it's literally thousands of points. It makes my head spin. I've made like 4 films on the subject. I'm not bragging. Who was the Western star that said no brag, just fact? It wasn't John Wayne. Look up no brag, just fact for me, guys. Thanks. I remember one time I was on air a few years after 9/11, and I was saying, you know, I'm the father of the 9/11 truth movement. And another smaller talk show host called me and said, you know, you sound like an arrogant person saying that on air. And I said, hey, I'm not saying it because I'm arrogant. I'm saying it because it's the truth. And I take a big risk doing that. And the establishment was calling me the progenitor of the 9/11 truth movement. You know, I said they're going to blow up the World Trade Centers and blame it on their CIA asset, bin Laden, to invade all over the world and take our freedoms. Here's the RAND Corporation report with these other reports in a 2.5-hour emergency TV show and a 3-hour radio show. Those are all online from July 25th, 26th, 2001. And I went on air that day and the day after, and I said they're going to launch a bio attack on top of it, and they launched the anthrax attack. I just study this, and I know how they operate. And look at how our government runs al-Qaeda today, and ISIS and the rest of it. The guns of Will Sonnet. No brag, just fact, said Walter Brennan of Will Sonnet's prowess with a weapon. No brag, just fact. Where I come from, it's not good to tell people what you got in the hole, the ace in the hole. And I don't like, quite frankly, my cousin got something right the other day. He said, you know, Alex is really an introvert and nobody really knows that. And that's the truth. I'm an introvert, ladies and gentlemen. I don't like being famous. I don't like being hated by some people. I have to do this, okay? But I've gone so far down the line with all this that I see other perspectives, and I'm just here to try to convince the establishment not to commit suicide and take us with them. And so that's why I've gotten to the point where I may have said 15 years ago, yeah, let them send in UN troops, we'll just shoot them. Not anymore, because I don't want that civil war to happen. That's what they want. I'm 40 years old now. I've been doing this since I was 21 years old. Toll-free number to join us is 800-259-9231, 800-259-9231. And the reason I tell people, you know, where the 9/11 truth came from, it came from the event itself, but I was there day one. Just like Time Magazine calls me the mad prophet of the Tea Party, because I am the mad prophet of the Tea Party from their perspective. Ron Paul's the founder of it, and I'm the prophet of it. If you want to call it that, someone raising the alarm. We need to be alarmed. We need to be upset. We need to be bombastic. We need to run around screaming, because that'll get people out of their coma. But I'm not putting an act on when I run around screaming. I'm concerned when I see our government running and funding al-Qaeda and giving them more than 10,000, 12,000, 15,000. I've had colonels on saying it's 15,000 missiles. I don't know. It's over 10,000 missiles. The government acts like I've done something so they can power grab and run my life and make me a slave, while the border's wide open and they create ISIS. Toll-free number to join us, 800-259-9031. I want to show folks, if you're watching on TV, some articles here. LAPD to no longer comply with feds on immigration hold request. Headline should be illegal aliens above the law, because they don't just release them for being illegal. They say, don't even call them illegal, just legalize them. Legalize anybody that can get here. Well, we'll be 1 billion people in a couple of years if that happens. And they just say, we can't pay for it anymore. We won't even hold them to give them to ICE. Plus, ICE just lets them go. And so now they go on to say, you know, people that don't have too serious low-level crimes, is the quote. And, of course, I know this like the back of my hand, folks. They released out of Texas alone in a 4-year period. I remember reading this in the Houston Chronicle, 250,000 illegals, and upwards of I forget the exact number, it was a large portion, were aggravated felons. I think it was 36,000 a month ago released in 1 month. Remember that headline? 36,000 aggravated felons. We're talking arson, child rape. I mean, I've got stacks of news every day I don't even get to, with headlines like this. 2-time illegal immigrant charged with rape in Philly sanctuary city. City cops won't work with feds unless Honduran immigrant convicted. Yeah, they're just going to deport him. It's like that railway killer who preyed on Hispanics. See, there's another underbelly to this. Hispanics who aren't citizens and don't know this, aren't Americanized, are preyed on by the criminals and the gangs, and they're the ones that lobby and manage the immigrant smuggling, the running, the lawyers, all of it. And that brings me to this next report. You don't just have the people in 800-plus sanctuary cities catch and release for DWI, hit and runs, rape, robbery. Criminals worldwide coming here knowing it's the happy hunting ground. You have, let me show folks right here. This is in the Weekly Chronicle. It comes out every Thursday. They've written literal whole cloth articles about me, probably 15 times, telling outrageous lies where it's literally inverted truth. Okay? Fiction. And I was not sophisticated when this started 16, 17 years ago. Now I understand. They own and run South by Southwest. They're invested in the high-rise apartments. They've got this army of fake liberals that literally work for the Chronicle for free, not knowing they're working for a $50 million a year profit organization. But it's all like beatnik old men and stuff going, yo, daddy, yo, yo, black ops squads, okay? And the editor is obsessed with me and attacks me every month and listens to the show and admits it. And I never realized why, because they know I'm telling the truth. They know everything I knew before I knew it. They literally hate my guts. They've got an illegal alien on the front of it with a cut-up American flag smiling. And then you open it up. This is a microcosm. And it attacks the sheriff, the black sheriff, Greg Hamilton, the Texas Civil Rights Project, that's like the ADL or Southern Poverty Law Center, that he deports 13 people a week. Folks, Travis County has a jail that looks like the Death Star. I mean, they catch you doing anything, they're ordered to throw the book at you. And this is an article like he's a horrible, racist, bad guy because he deports aggravated felons. And then, I mean, how do I get these rights where I can drunk drive, I don't even want to rape people, but you can rape people, murder, and then if the sheriff tries to deport you, I mean, I've talked to the cops. You've all heard about it in the news. I've talked to Travis County prosecutors. They said, no, the judge will give an illegal alien a $5 fine. You'll be put into classes. Everything else, you'll spend 5 years paying off your DWI. An illegal will be released on the spot. And you go to their website, the Texas Civil Rights Commission, with Jim Harrington and all the rest of these people, and they've got maps and everything. How to get in, how to take over, how to get the DREAM Act, right here. And it's all Ford Foundation funded with the Workers' Party and Cesar Chavez and all this stuff that sounds reasonable. Because Cesar Chavez was mad about pesticides and how people were being treated. Of course, Hispanics were being exploited. Any migrant or worker group is. Poor sharecroppers. I'm just sick of only hearing that minorities, who are really the majority in most areas of the country, are the only ones that ever got abused. Indentured servant, share. But the thing is, they take that whole movement, name streets after it, and make the whole civil rights movement about being anti-white and being part of the Raza, and it's all a bunch of rich white lawyers. And they've got these in every city. And they get the city to build homeless housing, and it turns out it's for illegals. And they get money off this community. It's disgusting. It's Acorn, folks. It's Acorn. And this is the white liberals that run all this. They're not liberals at all. And it needs to be investigated and looked at. And it goes on all over the country. Programs and services. And then they have city art things with billboards that show a revolution of Raza taking over America and show the plan of Aslan. And you go to these immigration rallies, and it's Mexican flags everywhere with guys wearing Plan of San Diego shirts. A plan to kill all white males 16 and older. I mean, it's like, imagine if the Klan had a plan to kill all blacks 16 and older. I mean, it's like, and the other will be re-educated. I mean, it's just like, what? You're like, man, you're talking about killing all the whites. Shut up, racist scumbag. Shut up, racist. Shut up, racist. I am sick of it. And they're trying to radicalize Hispanic people who are great people. I mean, and again, this will only increase white racism, which is the balkanization they want. We've got to create a culture, a Bill of Rights, Constitution. We've got to create a culture where we identify on freedom, on Second Amendment, on property rights, on low taxes, on prosperity. Not this runaway train where you've got the illegals so upset and so anti-America that if you wear an American flag in Texas or California, the gangs, the illegal gangs, get so mad you have to take your shirt off. It's turning around inside out. See, they tell America to have no culture, and then it's overwritten by a Ford Foundation synthetic, weaponized Chicano nation system that does nothing. It's like, here, you're the ruling Chicanos. Now go sweep. Instead of building a system to build everything up. It's, oh, look, you vote for the Democrats. You can be gay now. While they take everybody's rights and the NSA spies on us. And the Republican leadership, you notice, isn't saying anything about any of this. Gee, Obama, you really screwed up on the border. Let's get amnesty passed. The same one George Bush had written. The Republican leadership wants this because the big corporations want you begging with 1,000 people from India and Mexico and Romania and China. They want you lined up, whether you're a professional or whether you're an auto mechanic or whether you're a custodian or whatever you are, if you're a school teacher, they want you up against the corporate fake schools that are meant to destroy the education system, which I didn't understand until a few years ago, is they wreck the education system and then force you into the new corporate system. I mean, they know what they're doing, folks. And so I don't blame people who identify with race and all this stuff at a primitive level because that's how humans are. But the point is it's all engineered. We're going to go to Tom, Leslie, Rob, Truth, Raider, Joe, and others. But this is a plan. They're going to destabilize the country, bring us into a third world, and the wealthy people will be a tiny group that live behind armored gates, and the rest of us are going to be out here running around poor. And America's conquered. That's it. With a bunch of paramilitary cops strutting around, with the illegals given driver's license to vote politically to totally dismantle the country. If we don't turn this around, folks, we'll be like Zimbabwe and Robert Mugabe. You can look at the culture, the TV shows, everything. It's all anti-white. And that's only because that's seen as the dominant culture that if it can be overthrown, it can be overwritten with anything. And they're not overriding it with any real culture. They're just overriding it with a bunch of drug dealers and criminals and scum that own the Spanish-run media. It's self-financed by the big banks that launder the money. I mean, it is a criminal takeover. We're going to go to break, come back, go right to your calls, and a little bit of overdrive to get to all of them. You can see the lawlessness as it unfolds. And as they go, outrageous, you want a gun, you're in the Klan. Doesn't matter what reality shows. You don't want Obamacare? You claim there's death panels? You're a racist. Well, the death panel's on this subsection. Now the death panels are public. Like, well, of course we're going to kill grandma. We're liberals. You don't kill grandma, you're racist. You know. They want diminishing resources, so they're the only ones in control of them, so they can buy you cheap. God, I go to the third world. I can't even go to it anymore because there's so many beautiful third world places. And the people are just in hell. There's always up on a hill a big armored compound with helicopters. And the rich guy and his family can come down and get anybody's daughter they want. Everybody's controlled by them. Doesn't matter if it's a fascist or a communist system. They have their system in place. There's always cops everywhere with machine guns. The sign of a broken, failed country. And all the signs are there for America. That's why it's more important than ever. This show has the truth. We know what's historically happening. We've proven it. I don't like the responsibility of being the tip of the spear. We are the tip of the spear. Spread the word about Infowars.com, PrisonPlanet.com. Spread the word about our Facebook, our Twitter, our YouTube. Become a PrisonPlanet.tv member. We have 5 months free. We're running it in the month of July. We usually only run that in December and January. You can get 5 months free off a year or do a monthly $5.95. It comes out to 1 cent a day per person because 11 people can use it simultaneously. It takes about a minute to sign up. I want to see people sign up at PrisonPlanet.tv. A lot of people have been doing it, but it needs to explode. It's been growing very fast. I want to see thousands of people a day, not thousands a week, going and joining PrisonPlanet.tv so I can hire even more reporters and have reporters all over the world, not just a small team that we can send out like we're sending to the border. In California this time, where they're sending the SWAT teams and the riot police to attack American citizens that are protesting. And in Dallas, they're saying, you don't come out and protest, we're shipping illegals into Granbury. We're there to discourage you. Imagine how warped the Granbury police are. Grand Prairie. We say Granbury up in Dallas. Grand Prairie. Imagine. They're in the headline in CBS News. Police to be out with riot gear to discourage you. To say, you don't come out and demonstrate while we bring things down. You Texans have been uppity. These illegals are going to vote within a few years to take your guns. The armored vehicles and attack choppers are standing by. So you stay in your damn house while we take over. The prognosis goes from bad to worse. What's going to happen? MyPatriotSupply.com/Alex. Getting prepared while at the same time funding super hardcore, unapologetic, awake and alive, fighting back, freedom-based media. MyPatriotSupply.com/Alex to find all the specials and a lot of other preparedness items. Let's go to your phone calls. Tom in Maryland, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Thank you, Alex. I wanted to mention, you were talking about 9/11 earlier, and I tuned in a little bit late, but I only called because I wanted to bring up a point about a lot of the other mainstream conservative shows. You might call them neocon. I know a lot of folks who listen to these shows, including myself occasionally, that do not and never believed the official story on 9/11. And any time the topic comes up, the way so many of these hosts trash those who believe something.
Oh yeah, they don't have an intellectual discussion with you. They just say you're crazy and believe in Puff the Magic Dragon. And that's because bare minimum they stood down on 9/11, and unfortunately they basically ran it with Saudi Arabia. And the Democrats are involved as well.
And I always found it interesting that, I mean, I heard recently a comment from Michael Savage. He did not go into great detail, but he's one of the only voices I've ever heard. He did say he was looking at conspiracy theories. He didn't say which ones. He didn't say he was believing anything.
Yeah, well, Michael Savage is super smart, and he knows about false flags. He says Obama may stage one, and so he gets the big picture. He's the only other show that will actually cover everything. And and even if you disagree with him on a few percentage points, or he disagrees with us, it doesn't matter. He cares about the future of the country. he doesn't just out of hand attack every talk show host out there. He attacks other talk show hosts because he disagrees with what they say, not because he's just going after them. And he does attack a lot of talk show hosts, actually, but I think it's pretty funny because the ones he attacks kind of deserve it. But the straits are so dire right now that even when Glenn Beck attacks me all the time and lies about me, just God bless him. That's all I can say. Thank you, Tom. Let's talk to Rob in Texas. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Hello, Alex.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. I am new to Texas, and I got to say I'm a little unimpressed at the lack of patriotism in the state.
Well, they say in Grand Prairie, you know, don't come out and protest the illegals. We got riot police. The illegals are God. And they're calling the riot police into California. You don't do any. These people in Texas now know how to do one thing, and that's suck government boots. And they're going to have everything they have taken from them because they want to be hurt. So, no, I mean, I'm ashamed of Texas in many ways. But compared to other states, we're doing, you know, better. But we're a smaller pile of dog crap.
I'm from Chicago, okay? I lived there my whole life in the Midwest. And I have a firearm identification card that they gave me, no questions asked, through the mail from the state police. Everybody I talk to in the South says, why do you need a card to buy a gun? So being out here for the last 2 years, they have totally, and when I say they, the infection on the planet, the devil's disease, they have completely got themselves into every single little corner, from property managers all the way up to, you know, the chief of police or whatever. I don't know where the highest chain of command is. But it's just disgusting.
No, I hear you. Listen, let me explain what's happening in Texas. I love Texas, and I dearly love it. When it's a great state and great people. I was being sarcastic. I want Texas to be ashamed. So we've been colonized by bureaucrats, and it isn't really Texas anymore. Different areas have different street smarts. There's a lot of street smarts in Illinois you won't find in Texas. A lot of street smarts in Texas you won't find in, say, New York. It all varies, but people are people in the final equation here in this country. But folks need to learn to mind their own business and not work with the system as much as you can. Because the system wants compliant people who will go along with it, unless you're an illegal who's above the law, but only for a time to break down the country. I mean, it's just, there's a discriminatory fact that the illegals are above the law and that citizens are treated like crud because we put up with it. Stop complying like an illegal alien. You will become God. Let's go ahead and talk to Leslie in Illinois. Leslie, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hi, Alex. I would just like to say that my parents lived in Europe during World War II. My father was a prisoner of Auschwitz and Buchenwald. And when they came to these states, they were very appreciative of the United States, and they were told they had different political opinions, keep it to yourself. And yeah, we have it very good here, and that's where people just don't understand.
Well, we had it good, and now a bunch of globalists have run up a credit card in our names, and they think a bunch of checkpoints with cops bugging their eyes out at us is going to make us shut up. That's not going to stop the total implosion. We have to come together and say no. The police state is just a signpost on where they're taking us. People are like, I don't care if there's a police state. What have I done? You've done nothing. The elite want to steal everything. And so when they set up a police state, look out. That's what I'm getting at. What is it they're planning to do that they're gearing up with all this? Well, we know. It's impoverish us and take everything. Anything else, Leslie?
Well, my mother's just been warning me for about 10 years. She says, pay attention. You think that these things that they're doing are no big deal, but they are. And once it's here, it's hard to get rid of. And I knew what she meant was communism. So she saw the signs already years ago.
And if you study communism and how it worked in the Soviet Union, it's a spitting image to what the Democrats are doing and what the Republicans, you know, play politics with. It's unbelievable. And a lot of it's because they're lawyers. And they're so used to compromising and, oh, it's disgusting. Oh, my God, it's horrible. I appreciate your call. And a lot of the people in Congress are just trying to make as much money as they can to get out of the country. They've run the white flag up, folks. Truth Raider from Oregon, then Laura and Joe. I may only have time for one more, but go ahead, Truth Raider.
Hey, compadre. Viva la raza humana.
That's right. Up with Hispanics, down with everyone else. For those in the race, everything. Those outside, nothing. I think MSNBC is a good racist slogan.
Indeed. Hey, what happened to Cobra Commander? When did you execute him? I haven't heard him recently.
Well, I can do a spitting image of the 1980s, 90s cartoon, Cobra Commander, which is also the voice of Starscream from the original cartoon. Would you like to hear it? Cobra. No, Megatron, I am the leader. So.
Oh, your evilness.
Oh, we've now... Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Let's get to the serious point here before we run out of time. Next door, we've got a whole family. The couple of the people there and their friends work at McDonald's. They flip hamburgers, and they drive Mercedes-Benzes, and they drive Beamers and Cadillac Escalades and Lincoln Aviators. What is going on?
They all work jobs as the cover. This is on record, and then they all have 4 or 5 other identities pulling welfare. Or they're helping shelter people that come in as part of the Coyote Network. It's a whole industry with these lawyers and all of this, and then we let it happen, so now it's a full overthrow colonization until the country collapses. I mean, sir, in Austin, they had $80-something million sent to one illegal alien house in tax returns. I mean, what do you think's going on? It's the Democratic Party's Acorn. That's what this is. It's Acorn squared on PCP. Alex Jones here to break down some exciting developments in the area of research concerning supplemental iodine. It's nothing less than phenomenal. I began to get into iodine a few years ago because it was helping me and my family so much get healthy and detoxify. And I used some of the mainline iodine supplements, and they upset my stomach, and I had some issues with it. Until I discovered a product being developed by Dr. Group, who I was already interviewing as an expert on my radio show, and I began taking the product before he actually rolled it out. You now know it as Survival Shield True Nascent Iodine that your body can really absorb. Then, about a year ago, he said, listen, if you think this is powerful, I'm going to come out with rare earth, deep earth crystals that are incredibly powerful that no one else has as a source for their iodine from between 7,000 and 12,000 feet, literally drilled out of the ground. You put it on a hot plate and it turns into the pure gas. No one else has 99.99% pure iodine. And the results that I personally have had have been life-changing. I was over 270 pounds. And with the iodine, exercise, and better diet, I have lost now more than 50 pounds total, and I'm continuing to lose the weight. I have more energy, my libido, all this crap came out of my skin. I believe our research is conclusive. This is the best iodine out there. And I know this for a fact. Nobody else has got iodine based on these pure crystals, ladies and gentlemen. This is innovating. This is trailblazing. And the best part is it helps fund Infowars.com, the radio show, the TV show, the whole media operation promoting true libertarian ideas. For a limited time, experience the ancient power of Survival Shield X2. Take advantage of this unprecedented 30% off Super Detox special at InfoWarsLife.com.